It's 5 o'clock. That's right. We've clocked out, and it's time to get to living, get to loving, get to driving home. I'm Bob the Cigar Guy, and it is I Got the Smokes Less Ride podcast experience with me, BTCG, episode 13. That's right. I tell you what, luckily we've made it to 13. And I'm just doing this off grit and gravel right now because we started off with hundreds of people watching the podcast, and evidently that's not the thing that everybody wants to do because the podcast views have dropped down a decent amount. Last week was 45. But I'm going to keep on grinding. I'm going to keep on pushing. So if you haven't watched the old ones, please watch them. Let's get them numbers up. I'd like to be at 100 apiece. It would make me feel like I'm doing something that's worth doing. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. And I have got a problem. I have, First Lady's not here. She's with the grandkids in Alabama, taking 4 out of the 5 grandkids with her friend Sharon Jean to Alabama. And crazy, crazy woman. And I'm knocking out reviews because I got to work. And so I can spend all day in the studio, which is one of my happy places, right? I spend all day in the studios, and I'm knocking out reviews. So, doing Acid 20, J.C. Newman, Julius Caesar, Mike Rita, Tricky Traca, and a Frisian right there. I got 4 cigars that I am not going to let die. I'm not going to throw these out. I'm going to smoke them. So we are going to get to smoke a bunch of cigars today. And I'm feeling like a troublemaker. So I'm not going to fire up a new cigar. I'm going to fire up a cigar I just smoked a couple hours ago, 3, 4, 5 hours ago. And so I'm going to start off with, depending on how fast I smoke, how many I get through, I'm going to start off with, I got a cough, hang on. Goodness gracious, I got a tickle. I was breathing at the same time I was talking. All good, a little cup of coffee in a big yellow cup. So, I'm feeling a little bit like a troublemaker. And so I thought I would fire up this Julius Caesar J.C. Newman Troublemaker. The Vitola is shaped in a very odd shape. It's hard to explain. It actually was Feller's poster on his back wall, and Drew Newman said, "Hey, how come we can't make a cigar like that?" And so the guy whittled it out of wood. He made the mold out of that, and then this is the cigar, and they call it a Troublemaker because it is extremely hard to make. It was released in 2024 last year. Fantastic cigar. Delicious. The video's already out on it. Go watch it. I can use the views on that too. It's not that long. So I thank you for all the time you spend with us. Let me knock some stuff out. We got Chief Talk on Thursday nights at 8:15. We got second Saturday the First Lady. Once a month, the second Saturday. This month, I think this is going to drop in April. If not, it's going to drop right before April. We're going to PCA. And then after PCA, it's mine and the First Lady's anniversary. Chief is flying in and out, and me and the First Lady are going to drive down. Chief's so fancy. But we'll drive down, and then when we leave, hopefully I'll stop at a couple tobacco places, but then we're going to vacation. We're gonna take our time to slow walk back home. So we won't be on that week, maybe not the next week. So be prepared for when the information drops as to when we're going to do the second Saturdays. Last month, this month, March, we had to bump a week late. And so I had a big giveaway. We had a friend of the channel send us some William Henry heirloom titanium and Damascus bladed knife and a sterling silver sugar skull ring. We ended up giving away a ton of cigars, some cigar rests, some cigar keychains. We gave away a cutter, a lighter, and then we had problems with tech. Tech about broke my heart. It frustrated me so much. And so we had to upload the streams 2 or 3 times. We had to drop stream, pick it back up. Chief actually saved the day. He was gardening at home. And I FaceTimed him. I said, what do I do? I can't get this thing to come up. And he goes, all right, I'll just do it remote. I'll send you a link. And so he actually pulled it up on his computer at his house, half an hour away. And we went remote. So it looked like you were right here in the shop, except Chief would jump on every once in a while, and it was kind of funny. The back and forth was hilarious. It was a great show. It was a funny show. But because I felt so bad, I actually threw in a brand new Stillwell DTT mug, another paleo lighter, a new Dunbarton hat, and then, oh my gosh, I grabbed one of my precious things you can't get anymore, retired flying pig from Drew Estate that came from the Savage Feast. It says Savage Feast all over it. That was during the DE25 anniversary in Texas. You can only get it in Texas at that one show. I happen to have some more because we had giveaways. But that was my personal, and I actually put that in there. So you want to be, I also give away a 5-pack of Cubans. You want to be at the giveaways because we try to make them bigger and better every time. Next Saturday, the next second Saturday with the First Lady live giveaway is going to be focused on gear, cutters, lighters, ashtrays, Travadors, humidors, and so I've got the goods, and so we're going to set you up. I'm thinking maybe get you a single jet, a double jet, a triple jet, a quad, and maybe a tabletop, maybe a soft flame. I don't know what I have in my inventory here at the shop, in the studio. We may throw in a V cutter, a guillotine, a punch. We may throw in a tabletop cutter. We may throw in a Travador. We will throw in a Travador. We may throw in a couple Travadors, and then we're going to put some cigars in there. So you're really going to want to be there for that. You are. And the First Lady, she loves giving my stuff away. It's not my stuff. It's channel stuff that comes to me and Chief. And then we take a couple things for our own personal self, but most of it is just channel stuff. But because it's called the Bob the Cigar Guy channel, we just kind of call it my stuff, right? And let's face it, I put my thumb on every scale on everything on the channel, so I do my best to have the final say on everything. So it's usually me giving away stuff. But it's mine and Chief stuff. It's our stuff. It's channel stuff. And I got stuff to give. We have stuff to give, and we're going to give it to you, right? So make sure that you're there for that. You have to be live. You have to be there to watch it. You have to be 21. And you have to live in the continental U.S. if I'm going to mail it to you. If you win and you're not in the continental U.S., you have to pay for shipping. Why? Because we're a tiny channel, and we broke. We can't spend tons and tons of money. And shipping gets expensive. So it'll be worth whatever you have to pay for shipping, I guarantee. That last giveaway, I estimate was over $1,000. But First Lady loves to give stuff away, and so I guilted her into giving away one of her little horses, that her little toy horse things, little statue horses or whatever. She always brings a horse and she sits it at the table because she loves horses. She does. I love First Lady. I hate horses, but I love First Lady, so she loves horses. And so I guilted her into giving away her little pony, and I think we're going to start doing that from now on. So you will get an autographed pony from the First Lady, which will be a one of one because each one will be different. It'll be kind of neat to have, I guess. I don't like horses. I think I've said that. But you're going to want to be there for that. We also have the podcast, which you're on right now, so you know it's there. And then we've got Drewsday on Tuesday, and then we've got Saka Sundays, and then we've got all sorts of other videos going on. But let's get done with the commercials. Let's get done with that. Because you've been working all day. You don't want to talk about that crap. I just wanted to throw all that in there. Little update for the channel. I actually got some things for the channel. I've got a nice big bar light in front of me, tube light. One of these heifers right here looks like a lightsaber. I got two of them. Really cool. I've been using it for all the reviews today. The one that's under me that's giving me this beautiful multi-chin light. It is plugged in, so it's going to hopefully stay charged, which won't be a problem. But that tube light back in the corner is not charged, and I don't know how long the battery is going to last. I'm actually testing it out. So if the pretty blue color goes dark, just please forgive me, but you shouldn't be watching anyway while you're driving. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Have spent some money on the channel. Bought me a couple shirts, Bob the Cigar Guy shirts. I do it every year. I make sure that I put the year on them, like for a baseball team, like 25 will be this year's shirts. Last year's 24 and all the way back. It's kind of cool to have that. But also, if I didn't put the year on it, Chief might say, hey, you know, you could wear those this year. And I said, well, I can't. They got 24 on them. Right? I got to get it when I can get it. So I've got a couple PCA shirts because we're going to PCA, and hopefully if we go to Barn Smoker, I'll be wearing them at Barn Smoker. If I see you at Barn Smoker, please come up and give me a hug. Let me get a picture with you because I love taking pictures with awesome people, and you fit that bill. I'll never be too busy to stop and chat with you. I guarantee I'll be working hard, but I'm here for you. So hopefully I'll get to see you. Hopefully I'll get to see you out and around town. If you ever see me out and around town or in my travels, please come up and say, hey, I'd love to sit and chat with you and get a picture. I really, really would. It makes my day. Chief as well. Chief makes Chief's day as well. First lady, she loves it too. So PCA's coming up real soon. I'm a couple videos ahead. Let me see. Yeah, this will come out in a couple weeks. So we'll be heading to PCA. If you don't know what PCA is the Premium Cigar Association. It is a group that its main goal is to network cigar manufacturers with cigar retailers and get them to hook up together so that they're in a group. But also PCA's big push is to fight government overreach. The stuff the FDA did, but also when your local community, if you're a PCA member, you own a cigar lounge, and all of a sudden they have a smoking ban, which I'm going to get into that with Louisiana. It's crazy. New Orleans. If they have a smoking ban, then they send attorneys to fight for you, to help you deal with that. When some counties, some cities, some states didn't want to have flavored cigars. They wanted to put a ban on flavors. They came to their bat. They came to fight, and most out of all of them, they won. And they said you can't do that, and they tried to lump us in with non-premium cigars and saying that they're all the same, and they said no, we're not. So there's a lot of money spent on legal, but for us, PCA, the main thing for PCA is their PCA convention every year. It's usually in Las Vegas. This year, next year, and maybe the year after, I'm not sure, is in New Orleans. And it's a convention where the cigar manufacturers all set up booths. It's huge. It's like a trade show. They all set up booths, and cigar retailers come and place orders. They see the new things, they see the whatevers, they meet up with everybody, and then they place their orders pretty much for the whole year. They'll say, okay, we need to buy X, Y, Z, and we need this dropped in 3 months, this dropped in 3 months, this dropped in 3 months, this dropped in 3 months. Most of sales are done that weekend at PCA, which is coming up very soon. You as a consumer cannot go. It is just a trade show. It's just for people who own cigar companies, cigar accessory companies, and their retail partners, cigar lounges, brick and mortars, online, all of that. They come in and they sit down and they talk with everybody. And then there's also the redheaded stepchild, which is media, which is why Chief and I get to go. We are sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has generously sponsored us. And what we do is we do an interview with Drew Estate, but then we also go around and we interview all sorts of companies. Chief is working very hard at getting us a long list of companies. We'll probably do between 20 and 35 videos with all sorts of manufacturers. If there's a manufacturer that you would really enjoy us to get content from, please leave me a comment and tell me what that is, because we would love to get the content that you enjoy. We've got a lot of heavy hitters already. We've got Drew Estate, we've got J.C. Newman, we've got Foundation, we've got Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. I don't know the whole list. Aganorsa, Adventura, and then we have some smaller boutique brands. I think we're going to be meeting with a couple cigar swag, cigar gear, lighters, cutters, travadors companies. Hopefully we'll get to see Calibri, Zycar, maybe hit Jetline. Ellie Blue, I think, is on our list. We'd love to go to ST DuPont, but ST DuPont is very fancy, and I don't think they enjoy our vibe. Gurkha is another company they're going to be dealing with. And lots of others. Artesano del Tobacco, Ferriotigo, all these other companies. If there's a company that you really would like, please let us know. Also, I have sponsored content by Villiger during PCA, where we have the PC After Dark. It's a live show every night after the show, and I steal things. I tell them I'm going to take it, and I take it. Steal things from different booths, and I kind of show you the new stuff that's coming out. I show you the cigars that I'm having. I'm going to tell you about my experience on the floor, so you can kind of live through it virtually. But I'll also let you know what's coming, because it's important. Even though that you can't go to PCA, let's face it, the people that sell cigars at your local stores, your local brick and mortars, don't want to collect cigars. They want to sell them. They want to move them off the shelves. And if you go to your purveyor and you say, hey, I heard about this cigar, I'd really, really like to get this cigar. And if you've been a regular loyal customer, they will probably purchase a box or two of those cigars to see how they sell. Sometimes, and I've seen this happen before, is you really want this cigar. Let's say the new Solita Red. I just dropped that review last week. By the time you see this, fantastic cigar. It may make my top list this year. Delicious, delightful, lovely cigar. And you say, hey, I want to get this Saka Solita Red. I'll tell you what. If you'll buy 2 boxes for the shop, I'll go in on a half a box. I'll buy half of one of the boxes that you sell, so that they're like, okay. That's not as big a risk. Or even if you do a 1-box deal where you say, hey, you buy that box, I'll buy half of it, you sell the other half. And usually they'll buy the second half, because, in all honesty, most manufacturers, most shops, other than taxes, and different states have different taxes. Some taxes are ridiculous, New York, California, and others. It's called Keystone, which Keystone is, if I buy something as a shop for $1, what's cigar going to buy for $1? For $1, I'm going to sell it to you for $2, which means as soon as I sell half, the other half goes to overhead and profit, right? Keeping the lights on, paying the mortgage or the rent, keeping that cable on that you get to watch, making sure that the ventilation filters are clean. But there's not hardly any risk. So if I go into them and I say, hey, and I've done this before when I first started out, I say, hey, you buy a box of that, I'll pay for half. I'll buy half the cigars. And so they're like, well, okay. So there's no risk to me. I got my money back, and now anything I don't sell is profit, or anything I do sell is profit. And so they feel more comfortable. So that's just one of the ways that you can get a cigar in that you might not get any other way. So, just a thought. Whew. Wow, 20 minutes in, and I really haven't told you anything about what we're talking about. Thanks for staying with me. I hope you're having a good day. I hope your drive home was great. I hope work was good. I hope you got plans for this weekend. It is springtime, right? Springtime is here. Can't get comfortable. Springtime is here, and so the lists will be getting extremely long. Have you been by Lowe's or Home Depot? They have the mountains, the maze of mulch. You know what? That'd be fun. You know, you have the corn maze and this and that. They ought to take and make a mulch maze. They got enough mulch. They can make walls out of the mulch and have the kids come over and the kids could walk the maze and you're still selling off the mulch. It's not like it's that big of a deal. But that'd be kind of cool. You could walk a little mulch maze. Someone needs to talk to Lowe's and Home Depot about that. But the mulch is out. And soon the vegetable plants will be out. And then the patio furniture will be out because once you put the mulch down, then you got to buy plants because the mulch is gorgeous, but the plants are, oh, we got to add a plant, honey. Yeah, all right. Then you got to buy seed because now the mulch beds are great, the plants are great, and so you got to seed the bed. You got to seed your grass so that you mow lots and the weeds die. And it's all nice and green, and then, well, now the driveways and the porch is kind of funky, so you got to pressure wash all that. Then you got a clean deck, and you got pretty mulch, and the front yard looks good, and the backyard looks good. And, well, now you got to buy new furniture for the porch, patio. Then you got to put all that together, and then, you know, the barbecue grill needs some cleaning and seasoning, and or buy a new grill. Then you got to have the throw pillows and the hanging baskets to make everything pretty for all the people that are going to come over and hang out. Then you got to have a garden, right? The inflation's up and vegetables are expensive, and who knows what countries we're going to be able to get vegetables from soon at a decent price. So you got to grow your own vegetables and be responsible. So you got to go get your raised garden beds, and you got to get your topsoil or your potting soil, and you got to get all your vegetables, and then you got to get a good set of gloves and a new rake and a new spade and a new hoe and a new whatever. And then you got to get a new garden hose because that doesn't look good. Garden hose. Hose pipe. You got to get that. Then the house doesn't look so great on the inside. It's not fresh, so easiest way to freshen it up is to paint. So you got to paint the rooms. Then the room looks good. Then you got to get furniture. And then furniture, yeah. Well, now you got to get a new accent table or new picture on the wall, or then you got to go to Bath and Body Works and you got to get the little smell plug-ins to make everything smell good. I hate those. Then you have everybody over, you got to buy a new crock pot because you can't have an old tire crock pot. Quick pot, air fryer, microwave, convection oven. Then you look at the sink and the faucet is old. So you got to replace the faucet. Ugh, it just goes crazy, right? It's springtime. And yeah, you get into it and you want to do it. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I carved out some time. I have a list of things I have to do. At the very bottom of that list, I have time to sit and smoke a cigar. Maybe work in the shed, piddling. Just doing something. And that time's gone. You don't have time for you. You got time for everybody else. And everything looks great. Everybody loves the new stuff. You're proud of it because it looks good. Family's proud of it and they're happy. But you're getting tireder and tireder and tireder. You got work. And then the car's in that nice pretty driveway and that nice lawn with the nice bushes and the nice mulch and the nice bird feeders. Got to take care of the birds, get new bird feeders. Your car looks dirty, so you got to go detail your car. clean that out, you're not smoking cigars. You're not taking a break. You're just giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. And then you got work and you got responsibilities. You got bills to pay. You got food to cook. You got maintenance stuff. You got social responsibilities. If you got kids, Lord knows you got soccer and baseball and football and lacrosse if you do lacrosse, and swim club and drama club and chess club and science club, and then you're like, man, I'm ready for spring to be over. And summer comes. You're busy then. Vacation time, right? You're going vacationing. It seems like every time you go vacationing, you don't take any time to smoke a cigar. You plan to smoke a cigar. You bring cigars with you, but everybody wants to go here and there and this and that and the other, and you just say, okay, and you go and you enjoy yourself, but you're like, I didn't take a moment for me. Here's the thing about moments and pauses. If you don't take your break, somebody else or something else will take it from you. And you won't notice. It creeps up on you. But you just start to get tired. You just start to get apathetic. You just start to get in the drudge. You keep working because that's what you do. You keep pleasing everybody because that's what you do. You live up to the expectations of everybody else because that's what you do. That's who you are. I know that. I'm that. But it just becomes for everybody else. Everything you do is for everybody else but you. I get it. We have responsibilities. We need to honor those responsibilities. But what about the responsibility to you? If you make everybody in your life more valuable than you, it'll be that way. And eventually, you'll just not be able to even meet their needs, let alone yours. Self-care is not selfish. You need to take a moment for yourself. I use smoking cigars because this is a cigar channel. You hear, probably, because you smoke cigars. And cigar smoking is a personal break. Even if you're with people, it's you and that cigar. And you're enjoying those moments. That's your personal indulgence, your personal luxury. I mean, let's face it, unless you're doing puff, puff, pass, and I wholly do not recommend doing that. You bring an extra cigar for somebody else. You don't share, unless it's your sweetie. And then you still don't share, because if they like it, they may keep it, and then you're stuck without a cigar. Right? That'd suck. But even if everybody is in the same spot at the same time, grabbing out of the same box, that cigar is your cigar, and it is between you and that smoke. Nobody, it will taste the exact same because you're different. You've got different thoughts in your head, and those thoughts change the way you receive what you're doing. You need those moments. I need those moments. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the first one to be honest with you, transparent. If I did not have the Bob the Cigar Guy Cigar channel, and I didn't have responsibilities to do reviews, I would not take as many breaks and smoke as many cigars as I do. I wouldn't. Absolutely not. I would let life get in the way. I would let finances get in the way, because let's face it, cigars aren't cheap. They are luxury. Absolutely, 100%. I'll tell you that from Jump Street. But they're needed. I need it. I need family time. I need one-on-one time with my first lady. I need the relationships I have with my friends. But I also need time just for me. Because I'm worth it. And if I don't give myself that time, I run out of time for everybody else. I run out of ability for everybody else. I run out of desire for everybody else. I find myself, when I'm grinding, seasons of grinding, work at the car mill. They've been taking away our days off. We work 10-hour shifts, which turn into 11-hour shifts. It's a 45-minute drive there and 45-minute drive back, so that's another hour and a half. So we're looking at 13 hours right there, or 12 and a half hours right there. I get to work an hour early. So that's 13 and a half hours. I sleep for 7 hours. So that's 20 and a half hours. I gotta eat. I gotta shower. So I got 3 hours. And I'm going to soak that time up with my family or responsibilities. And so writing it down on paper, it looks like I just need to make it easy and just get rid of my time. The problem is, if I don't have my time, I run out of time. I just get exhausted. Yeah. I hope you don't feel that way. I hope you have your life in balance. I remember when I was in the Marines, I was in A school in Jacksonville, North Carolina. A school is when you go and you get out of boot camp, you get to go home for a little bit. You go on recruiter's duty where you're pretty uniform. You get all the high schools. You get all your friends to join, right? You're a great poster. Then you go to your school, which if you're a radio man, you go to radio school. If you're a nuclear physicist, you go to nuclear physicist school or whatever that is. If you're in the air wing, you go to the air wing school. If you go to cook school, you go to be a cook. And I was infantry because my plan was to go to recon. The quickest way to go to recon is go through infantry, be a basic rifleman. 0311. That's what they call them. And so you go to infantry school in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And infantry, which is the biggest group of people in the Marine Corps, they are not treated as good as all the others. The other schools, you have dorms. You do. You have hotel suites kind of thing going on. 2 people, maybe 3 people if you're pushing it to a room. Us, we got the old school squad base, just like you see in the movies. Long, long rows of racks stacked on top of racks. A little foot locker, a little wall locker. Our barracks were so old that the bathrooms were another building that you had to walk out a screen door, honest to God screen door, go 70, 80 feet into another room, into another building, and they had the urinals, which were nothing but troughs. They had showers, which were a big room, and they were half walls. So on the other side of the half wall was a bunch of sit-down toilets, and there were no walls or doors between them. So you just kind of sat there and looked across the hall at the people across from you, sitting next to the people next to you, while you're doing your business. So I usually did my business at 3 o'clock in the morning because I just didn't like being in a crowd. Yeah, right. Taking showers with everybody, and not my favorite thing. So I would do it 3 o'clock in the morning. Lots and lots of training, exhaustive training. I was tired all the time. I was a troublemaker. I was trying to drink in every ounce of the Marine Corps experience, which means getting in lots of trouble, causing lots of problems. It means getting put on fire watch, which means somebody had to stay awake and make sure that if something caught on fire, you woke everybody up. And if somebody tried to steal something, you could stop them. By the time this story happened, I had taken the test in second recon in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I had passed the recon test, and so I was going to be a recon Marine. And one of the corporals, a little short corporal who was in charge of us, one of the guys in charge of us, he tried for the recon test, and he failed. And so instead of me being smart, just keep my mouth shut, I constantly just goaded him. I said, yeah, you ain't good enough. You'll be a rifleman for the rest of your life. I wasn't smart. So he was always looking to get me. Always. So one night in the barracks, we could lock all the doors in the barracks at night. And there was one door that you couldn't. And then there was one window at the very end of the squad bay that you couldn't lock. The lock was broke. And it was all one floor, right? So the windows were at floor level, at, regular window house height. And it was my time for fire watch. It was another young kid, I forget his name. He was fire watch. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night when everybody was out partying and this and that in town. So I went out and partied, and I come back, and I was very tired. I had slept Friday night at all, Saturday not at all, and so I'm here on fire watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I went to the kid. I said, look, I'm tired. We got 4 hours of fire watch. So here's the deal. I want you to sit under that window that won't lock at the very end. And it's dark in there, right? Because the corporal's on duty, and I bet he's going to sneak in that window, and he's going to try and catch us sleeping, because I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to sleep the first 2 hours. No. You're going to sleep the first 2 hours. No. I'm going to sleep the first 2 hours. That's what it was. Sorry, it's been a long time. It's been 30 years. I'm going to sleep the first 2 hours, and then you wake me up, and then I'll go post up there, and everything will be fine. And our racks are by that door that you couldn't lock, and so we'd be able to be right next to the door, and if the door opened, we could wake up real quick and say, halt, who goes there with all that crap, and catch him. Because I knew he was going to catch me. I knew he was trying to sneak up on me. And so I was smart enough to not crawl in my bed and get comfortable. I sat on my bed, tired. I sat on my bed facing the door. I was about two racks away from the door, 2 beds away from the door. So I could see the door real well when I was awake. And I had him posted up under the window, so we had it covered, I thought. So I sat on my rack in the seated position of attention, good Marine, dead asleep. About an hour goes by me sleeping. All of a sudden, the brightest flashlight I've ever seen shined in my face with my eyes closed. Boom! And he looked at me and he goes, I got you now. And it was that little freaking corporal. He goes, I got you now. You're asleep. You're not going to recon. Without missing a beat. I'm not bright, but I'm quick on my feet. So I'm sitting there thinking, where the hell where was that kid? Where was that kid? Of course, I was 18, 19, so I was a kid too, but he seemed younger. Where was that kid? He was supposed to watch that door or the window. I didn't hear the screen door come open, so I knew he didn't come in that door because it would have woke me. My eyes closed. I said, no, sir. I'm not asleep. Just waiting on you to do something. Because if you touched me, I'd take you out. Swagger. I have good sense, but I had swagger. He said, no, you're asleep. And I said, no, sir. I said, the fire watch is waiting on the other end of the hall on the other side over there. Didn't know where he was. I was asleep. And I said, when I give the word, he's going to come over and he's going to curb stomp you too. Because as soon as you touch me, you're not a corporal anymore. And I'm not a lance corporal. And I'm going to wear you out. Because he's a little guy. I think I said something stupid like, I'll beat you recon style. If you're gonna go down, right? And so he goes, get up. And I stood up. And he shined the flashlight around. And he barely caught the glint of that kid. And he didn't see him, but I did. His sorry behind was dead asleep up under that freaking window. That corporal stepped over him, and he didn't wake up. Stupid kid. And he goes, you wake up somebody to pull fire watch, and both you and so-and-so in my office on the quarterdeck in 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Yes, sir. So he went out, slammed the door. I went over there, and that kid was dead asleep. I kicked him in the gut so hard. Get your stupid... I can't say those words. I try not to say them anymore, but I used to use them really good back then. And I told him, I said, what the hell, da-da-da-da-da, we're going to lose recon, we're going to do it, because he had made recon too. And he's just all about himself. And I said, square yourself away, tighten up, get dressed, get your gear straight, and let's go. And so we marched down and we stood on the quarterdeck, and he's like, oh, we're going to lose recon. I got to tell. I said, you tell, I'll beat you to death. You won't see tomorrow. I will beat you to death. Because I knew we were going to lose it. I knew he was going to snitch. I said, you just stick to it. I told him that you were hiding, and you were waiting for me to give the word, and that's what you're going to say. So a little while goes by, making us sweat out there. Calls us into his office. We're standing there at position of attention in front of him. And he's reading me the riot act, reading the other guy the riot act, telling him we're going to lose recon and this and that. And the kid starts to cry. Little cry. And I elbow him. And then he cries more. And I elbow him harder. And then, stupid boy, he leans over and grabs his knees and starts crying because this corporal is giving us what for. Not only do you not make recon, you go to jail. You can go to jail for this. Go to prison for the rest of your career. And we had another 3 years left, 3 and change. Making big rocks and little rocks. And he bent down there, and I remember watching Heartbreak Ridge before I went in. And one of the favorite parts in Heartbreak Ridge was when Profile shot up on the range, and Major, I forget his name, Powers, I think. Major Powers made him run around the barracks, or made him run around the platoon with the rifle over his head, just going and going and going and going and going, because he didn't like recon either. And he bent down, about to pass out, and Gunny Highway came up to him, and he leaned in his ear and said something, and he piped up, and he got fired up. He screams, recon! And he runs around in circles around the thing, and he's all fired up and ready to go. And Major Powers says, what did you say to him? And he said, I told him, don't you give that SOB the satisfaction. And so I leaned down in that kid's ear. I'm all about moments. I leaned down in that kid's ear, and I said, don't you give that SOB the satisfaction. And he stood up, and he tightened up. We got out. And we had to, the next 3 or 4 weekends, we had to take our E2, which is a shovel, and edge all the sidewalks. I think there was 50 miles of sidewalks. We had to edge all the sidewalks and get rid of the grass. So that was our punishment. So I understand tired. I understand being overwhelmed. I do. It's not my only time when I got in trouble. In A school. They worked us to death. And so then it's cold. And they got us outside of the armory where all the weapons are. Now, the armorers are in there. They're not unlocking the door for anything. They're just out there so that we can train to march our post in a military manner, keeping always on the alert and taking view of things that are inside our place or whatever, blah, 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 blah. All the general orders. I don't remember them. It's been 30 years. And so they give us a M16A2 was before the ARs. It was M16A2, and they give us 5 rounds. And we're not allowed to use them, but we put them in the magazine. We can't even charge our weapon because we're idiots. They give us a helmet. They give us a duty belt, which got the canteen and everything on it. And you walk on this hard gravel around the inside of a 10-foot tall concertina wire covered chain link fence, and you just walk in circles around the buildings. Now it's cold and I'm tired. Just pulled another Sunday freaking midnight to 4 o'clock posting. And it's cold. I'm from Florida. I don't like cold. There's a little hut, a little bitty hut, 4 foot by 4 foot guard shack. They said we couldn't go in there. It's cold and I'm tired. And my feet hurt. The gravel's rough, and we had a long week that week. I'll make all the excuses I can because I don't come off good in these stories, but so I started talking to myself. I said, look, they're not coming for another 3 hours. It's cold. Your feet hurt. Go in that little shack and sit down and warm up just a little bit. It's so small, your body heat will warm it up and you'll be more comfortable in there. Just do it for 20 minutes. Take a break. You deserve it. I didn't. I wasn't being a good Marine. So I walked in there. I got in the hut. And I leaned up against the wall. There's no chair. I leaned up against the wall, and that freaking rifle was heavy, so I set it down. And then I couldn't get comfortable because that web belt had the canteens on it and everything else. So I took it off and set it on the floor. Then that freaking helmet weighed a ton. My head's sweating. It's cold. My head's sweating. So I took my helmet off. And I'm in there. And I blink. Just blink. Well, that blink turned into probably 2-3 hours worth of sleep. I know it was 2 or 3 hours because I hear, "Sentry! Sentry! Sentry!" It is my relief coming to pick me up with a sergeant in my pickup. My crew to drop me off. Well, I'm so out of it. I'm just tired. I'm out of it. I open the door. I see them out there. I'm like, crap. I didn't say crap. I said something else. I see the door. Or I see them at the gate, and I walk out to the gate to unlock the thing, and I'm supposed to look at your ID, and I'm supposed to ask you questions, and I go to unlock the thing, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I don't know. And he goes, "Where's your belt?" Oh. My dumb behind. I just turned around. I went back and I got my belt. And I come back and he goes, I got it snapped on. He goes, "Your rifle? Your helmet?" I said, "Oh." Still asleep. I am dead on my feet. I am so tired. So I turn around. I walk back. I get my rifle. And I get my helmet. And it dawns on me the magnitude of this moment. So I tighten up, and I go over there and I ask him for his ID. And he shows me his ID. I ask him the questions. He answers the questions. I open up, and he is just livid. And he's giving me what for? It's a sergeant. He's not our sergeant. He's just a sergeant that deals with putting people at different posts. Because we had lots of different guard spots, but I was at the Armory, which was the most... supposedly the worst, the most important one, even though it's not, because they got all the guns and the bullets in there. They could defend an army coming from them. But we're marching to the next drop off, and he's giving me what for? He goes, "You're done. You're done. I'm giving you articles. You're going out. You're done. You're done. You're not gonna be recon. You're gonna be freaking nothing. You're gonna be in prison. Your family is going to not even speak to you anymore because you're going to bring shame to your family." And my stepdad was a Marine. My grandfather was a very, very decorated Army World War II veteran. My father was in the Navy. We got a military all going through our family, and here I'm going to drag the name down badly. I'm going to cast shame to my mom and to my name. And it's really starting to hit me. And so we get back, and instead of me marching back to my rack and going to bed, he says, "You're coming with me." And I go stand on that quarterdeck, that place where I had been before. And I hear him screaming and hollering in there, throwing things around with the other guys. Then he yells for me to come in. I ran in there, and I'm standing in position of attention. And he gives me what for? He just gives me one end to the other. And I know it's over. And he looks at me and he says, "I want you to go back to your barracks." He said, "I've got to explain this to you extremely stupid because you're an idiot." I said, "Sir, yes, sir." Because I want you to go back to your barracks. I want you to get out of your uniform. I want you to get into your sleeping clothes. And I want you to get in your bed. I want you to get on the covers. You're in your rack. Get on the covers. I want you to lay down. I want you to go to sleep. When it's time to get up, I want you to sit up. I want you to put your feet on the ground. And I want you to bend down and pull your head out of your ass and start being a Marine. If I ever hear about you having any more trouble, I'm going to turn these papers in. That man saved my career. He also saved my life, because I don't think I would be who I am today if I would have been dishonorably discharged and drummed out of the Marine Corps, which he could have done. I met him in a bar 3-4 months later, finishing up A school. I went out and bought him a drink. I couldn't drink. I was too young, but I bought him a drink. And I told him, "Thank you very much." Which you don't thank sergeants. Don't thank me. I'm doing my job. And he took the opportunity to look at me. And he goes, "Son, I've been you. I've gone through what you've gone through. And everybody needs a second chance. And I don't give them out to everybody, but people I think that are going to make a difference. You need to be the best Marine that you can be. Learn from this experience." And I did. I went to recon. And I did a lot of stuff. And I served my country with distinction. And I've done my best to use those moments to where I can pour into somebody else's life, because I figured out sometimes we catch somebody before they become who they're going to be. And sometimes that moment we catch them is messy and doesn't seem valuable. They don't seem worth it. But deep down inside, given the right motivation, given the right push, given the right circumstances, they can live up to the standard of who they really are. And that's worth me investing in. I've had other people invest in me that way. And it's made a difference in my life. And so I hope that when you have the opportunity, you choose not to be the corporal who was just feeling insecure about himself, so he was going to make me suffer unfairly, and be the sergeant that knows that he can make me suffer fairly, but give me a second chance. I wanted to be lighter at the end, because I've told you that you need a break, you need a pause, you need this, you need that. You just get overwhelmed, you just get tired, you just get done. So I was like, well, let me figure out some stories off the top of my head to where I have been overworked, overwhelmed, and because of that, I failed in the tasks that I was going to do. The Marine Corps is meant to be extremely difficult. It pushes you past your limits. And that's important because there's no chance that I could be in combat as a Marine and stand up and say, you know what, we've done shot at each other for 20 out of 24 hours. I need to take a nap for 10 hours. Can we just take a break? You can't do that. You have to fight through. You have to keep working. But here's the thing. We're not in war every day. We're not in combat. And so we don't need to live up to those standards that just exhaust us and drain us to zero. We're supposed to live a life not to survive, but to thrive. And without thriving, without resting, without taking a break, you really can't thrive. My neighbor has a tree. We planted trees, same kind of tree, around the same time. I think I planted mine in the front yard, and he saw mine, and he goes, "Ooh, he's got a tree. I need a tree." And so we went and got a tree, and he made prettier mulch. A lot prettier mulch. So we planted the tree. I know how to plant a tree. We dug a big hole. We filled it with water. Then we put the tree in there, and then we backfilled it with topsoil, and we put a weed barrier on top of it, and then we put mulch on top of that, and we let it go. It grew. It's still growing. It's in the yard. It's about 12, 13 feet tall. I don't water it. I don't give it nutrients. I don't hit it with a lawnmower, but or the weed eater. But I don't help it to grow. It's 12 feet, maybe 15 feet. It doesn't look like Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but it's kind of sparse. I never went and got nutrients and put nutrients on the soil. I didn't water it regularly when the sun. South Carolina, it rains and rains and rains and rains, and then it won't rain for a month. I didn't water it during that time. I didn't water my yard. I didn't do any of that. Well, my next door neighbor's retired. And he's a busybody. He is. Nice enough guy. But he is. And he pays some company to come out and mow his lawn, and then he contacted one of these super sod companies or whatever, and they came out and they treat his yard, and it's green and lush and lovely. And then I saw him out there talking with the guys about the tree, and they're looking at the tree, and the guy's taking soil samples, and he's measuring things, and he's adding sand to the dirt, and he's putting chemicals on it and fertilizers and root growers and this and that. And his tree, which was the same time as my tree, pretty much, his is later than mine. His tree's about 30 feet tall, and it's bushy. You get two birds on my tree, that joker starts to lean. You can put 100 birds in his tree, if not 200, and they're just fine, singing all day long. Same time, same environment, same tree. And mine's 20% the tree, his is. If we take our breaks, it's like fertilizing, put nutrients back into us. If we take our breaks, it's like watering when it's dry. If we take our breaks, it's investing in nurturing and working on making it grow, making us grow. Neither tree is dead, but one is reaching its true potential. If in your life all you do is feed everybody else, and you don't feed yourself, you never hold 200 birds. You won't. You'll be fine, but you won't be great. We only do this once. Be great. I'm not talking to you as much as I'm talking to me. So I hope your drive is well. I hope you're home. Get out the car, get in the house. Start that living. Start that fertilizing. Go water yourself. Go pay some attention to yourself. When you do that, you can shade those you love. You can provide homes for those that need it. You can reach the stars and the sun, or get closer to me. So, 20 seconds. Let me close out. You're worth it. You're worth the fertilizing. You're worth the water. You're worth the time. You're worth the investment. You really, really are. I hope you take time to invest. Leave me a comment. Tell me you're watching this. Tell me you love me, because I love you. I hope you made it safe. I'll see you later. It's Bob Cigar Guy saying, be a tree. A pretty tree. Later, Tater.